Things aren't working out for Rasmus Højlund this season. With just 2 goals in 19 league games for Manchester United, the Danish striker is not only struggling to find the back of the net for the Old Trafford club, but has more or less lost his spot in Rúben Amorim's starting 11. To the surprise of many fans, the Portuguese head coach opted to drop Højlund entirely from his team in their recent clash with Crystal Palace, instead electing to play Kobbie Mainoo as a false number 9. That didn't really work out either, but fans of the Red Devils perhaps understood their manager's desperate attempts to fix their team's attacking woes with audacious tactical moves. Whether or not Amorim was right to play Mainoo up front, one thing is for certain: Højlund just isn't working in this Man United team this season. Alongside the very obvious problem of Højlund not scoring enough goals, the main issue for Højlund in this Man United team this season is his apparent disconnect from the rest of the side. So far this season, the Danish talent has averaged just 24.3 touches of the ball per game in the Premier League. That's down from 25.5 last season, but a whopping 29% drop from his average at Atalanta, where he was touching the ball around 32 times per match. Unsurprisingly, when we dive even deeper into these numbers, we can see that the biggest drop-off is in Højlund getting the ball in attacking areas. At Atalanta, he was touching the ball 21.5 times per game in the final third, but this season that number has dropped to just 11.1. And when we focus on his touches in the penalty box, we find that his average per game fell from a high of 6.52 at Atalanta to a worrying low of just 2.68 for Man United this season. Interestingly, Højlund's shot accuracy has largely stayed the same over the course of the last 3 campaigns. At Atalanta, his shot accuracy stood at 52%, which then more or less stayed the same last season and then dropped slightly to 46% this season. Equally, his XG per shot, which is the quality of each chance when he takes that shot, has stayed more or less identical, as it stood at 0.18 at Atalanta and now remains steady at 0.19 for Man United this season. However, to no great surprise, he's hitting far fewer shots in total, with a high of 2.65 per game in his only season at Atalanta, which then dropped to 1.58 last season and now stands at just 1.06 in this current campaign. So essentially, Højlund's ability to get his shots on target hasn't really changed at all since he made the move to Man United, and in many ways he's actually risen to the occasion of playing against better defences in the English top flight. But the fundamental problem here is based around whether he's getting enough serves in the box. In many ways, he's entirely overlooked by a Man United team that don't really know how to create enough goal-scoring chances. To no great surprise for anyone who's watched Man United this season, the Old Trafford club are utterly useless at getting the ball into the opposing box to create goal-scoring chances. According to Opta, Amorim's side sit 8 places from bottom of the Premier League when it comes to total shots on target this season, just slightly above Wolves. And with just 28 goals from 24 games, they sit level with Crystal Palace and West Ham in terms of attacking output in the league campaign. Only 4 English top-flight clubs have scored fewer goals than the Red Devils this season. There are a few reasons behind that, but one of the most glaring ones is the sheer lack of playmakers in this Man United team. When we consider the top 50 players in the league this season for key passes, i.e. a pass that leads to a shot, the Old Trafford club have just 2 representatives, Bruno Fernandes and Amad Diallo, while Liverpool have 7, Nottingham Forest and Manchester City have 4 each. Yet even an Arsenal side that are heavily reliant on Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard have 3. Fernandes is, of course, the main playmaker in this Man United team, but even his numbers aren't that impressive this season, with just 6 assists in total for the league campaign. That puts him level with Man City midfielder Kevin De Bruyne, even though the Belgian midfielder has played around half the minutes of his Old Trafford counterpart this season. But the problem isn't so much that Fernandes isn't doing a good job in the middle of the park, but rather that he seems to be the only one capable of threading a pass into the opposing box. When we take a look at Man United's top creators for key passes this season, Fernandes sits with 43, then Diallo sits second with a respectable 29. The problem for Amorim is that the player in third place is none other than central defender Lisandro Martinez, followed by Marcus Rashford. One of those players shouldn't be among any team's most creative playmakers, while the other has just departed for Aston Villa. The other infuriating problem with this Man United team is that they seem to be incapable of crossing the ball into the box. So far this season, the Old Trafford club have managed just 361 crosses in 24 games, which is the 3rd worst return in the entire Premier League. And again, when we look at the main culprits in Amorim's side, we find a squad completely devoid of genuine options for the young manager to pick from. While Liverpool have 3 players in double figures for crosses into the penalty area this season, Man United's top crosser is still Rashford, with just 8 for the league campaign. This unquestionably is due to Amorim's preference, or indeed necessity, to make huge compromises in the wing-back areas. With Diogo Dalot and Nazir Mazraoui as his only real options for both positions, it means Man United have spent much of this season playing with a left-sided wing-back that has little interest in running down the wing and swinging crosses in with his left foot. Nor, it's fair to say, do the club have any traditional wingers aside from Diallo in their squad, with Alejandro Garnacho, Joshua Zirkzee and the recently departed Rashford more likely to drift into the middle of the pitch in search of goals rather than staying out wide to provide service for other players. To be fair to Amorim and his backroom staff, it seems as though they have begun to address these really blatant issues in a broken squad which they inherited from Erik ten Hag. Perhaps the most obvious improvement has come with Diallo, who is unquestionably blossoming under the new Man United manager and has already become the club's joint assist creator in the Premier League. Unlike the other forwards in the squad, the young Ivorian talent seems to value creating goals just as much as scoring them, and could prove to be the perfect partner alongside Højlund in attack. The club also did well to prioritise signing a bona fide left-back in the January window, with the capture of Patrick Dorgu from Lecce. Although the 20-year-old talent can play on either wing, he is unquestionably an ideal left wing-back, with the capacity to bomb down the wing and provide some much-needed width to Amorim's team and an additional route to the opposing box. Here, again, Man United fans should be hopeful of their team providing more attacking intent in the weeks and months to come. But perhaps the most intriguing step Amorim made to fixing Manchester United's long-standing attacking woes was indeed the decision to move Kobbie Mainoo further up the pitch. While there's little fear of the Portuguese manager retraining the England international into some makeshift striker, this theory that the 19-year-old's future lies in attacking positions is well founded. Mainoo isn't likely to permanently take Højlund's spot up front, but he could be Amorim's long-term solution to the faltering 30-year-old number 10 that continues to amaze and frustrate Man United fans in equal measure. So can Amorim get Højlund back to scoring goals? Well, it's a complicated, multifaceted problem with no easy solutions. But while results certainly aren't going Man United's way right now, fans of the club can take some solace from the fact that the new manager is trying everything and anything to fix the problems in this broken squad which he inherited. And if he can get them all working in the right positions on the pitch, it may just get the club back on track and have the Danish striker back amongst the goals before too long.